Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Eelco. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, whether it be a review, commentary, a topic, randomness, out of the blueness, a reaction, commentary, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now this is for, like I said, Eelco. Sound of Metal is a film I never heard of before. Never heard of the movie. And I guess it was nominated for quite a few awards. It's about a drummer of a heavy metal. I would say band is pretty much him and his girlfriend who's the singer. He's the drummer, like I said, and he starts losing his hearing. So pretty much anyone who's a musician, this is a horror film. But he starts losing his hearing, and it's this story of a man having to deal with the cards he'd been dealt with during this situation. And I thought the film was pretty good for a number of reasons. Number one, I thought the lead guy, Riz Ahmed, I'm like, this is the guy who's the bad guy in Venom? Because I'm like, wow, this guy was terrible. But I guess it shows it's more of how the part is written, not the actor. Because while terrible villain in Venom, the first Venom, he's rather good in this. I know he's at times a rapper, and he's done a few acting jobs, but he pulled it off fairly well here. I felt compassion for the guy, I felt sorry for the guy. And the best part of the film to me is the sound design, which I believe it won an award for that, and if so, richly deserved, because it really does put you into the point of view of someone who's going deaf, where there'll be times he's talking, and then all of a sudden you hear nothing, and just that sort of anxiety and horror of a person. Either it's very, very low, and you barely hear stuff, or when it's ultimately gone. And it starts off like very low, it's barely understandable. And I thought the director did a nice job where he lives with his girlfriend in his RV, and you see him in his typical life, and you see all, but all the sounds that encapsulates that. Turning on the stuff to make coffee, the coffee pot, the cooking, the sizzling of the food, all the little things that we take for granted in terms of noise. And then when he loses it, he tries to do that again, and just how off-putting it is to go through that. And a guy trying to figure out how to deal with it. At first he just wants to keep going, and hey, you're a singer, I'm a drummer, I'll watch your cues, and yeah, one time I messed up, but I know what to do now. Maybe there's these implants, but the implants cost like $40,000, $80,000, and the guy, the person even told him, listen, even if you get them, it's not going to be 100%. Like, it's just not. I guess you could say the lead character creates false hope for himself. Like, the hearing you lost is not coming back. So pretty much, he doesn't know what to do, and his girlfriend gets in touch with someone who gets in touch with this shelter. And that's another thing about our lead character, is he used to be addicted to drugs. And the girlfriend's afraid that this is going to cause him to go back into addiction again. So he gets put into the shelter with other people who are deaf, who are recovering addicts, including Joe, who his poison of choice was alcoholism. I thought him at the shelter was the best part of the movie. I thought it was very interesting to see how this shelter worked with everyone who can't hear. Like, people are doing sign language and you can't quite understand. Or there's a bit where Joe has his little microphone, and when he talks, the text is on the screen. So our lead has to look at him and keep looking at this and keep looking at that to answer his questions. Today is not a good day. When he's asked, how he's doing. And Joe's asking, listen, we're looking for a solution in here. Not a solution to this, a solution to this. Meaning, no matter what, this is dead. It's fucked. With implants or not. So the deal is this: how do you deal with it mentally, psychologically? And it doesn't feel pretentious. It doesn't feel like a lecture. It doesn't feel as if it's over sentimental, overly dramatic. And it's like an interesting, nice little story about a guy trying to deal with it, and like he's on this slide and there's a kid up top, he's at the bottom, the kid's doing some stuff. And you can't hear it, but you like almost feel a bit of the vibration or a hint of it. And the guy starts doing it, and they go back and forth, and that comparison between what they hear, and then you cut to an outside perspective where you just have two people hitting on a slide and how we normally hear it compared to what their world is. I thought that was, like I said, the sound design is very on point in this. And there's certain stuff he has to do, like Joe says, listen, at some point during the day I want you to sit in a room and just deal with silence. And if you can't, and you have to get up and you can't sit down, just write. Not draw, not anything, just write. Write about anything. You write big, you write small, you write misspelled, doesn't matter. And then he starts working with the kids, and I would like to have seen a bit more of him learning sign language. I thought they kind of skipped over that a bit too much for me. I would have seen a bit more of him trying to learn sign language, getting frustrated, getting pissed off, trying to learn again, getting pissed off. I would like a bit more of that. I thought, it's kind of like I turn and I look over and now he knows how to do sign language. I thought, that bit I wish they would have dealt more of. Because as you imagine, it'd probably be tough learning sign language. There'd be frustration. I think that would have, I would like that incorporated into the flick. Because for me, the weakest part of it is the finale. I would say it's not a bad finale, just kind of weak. Because like you said, the stuff at the shelter and deal with the kids and teach them about drumming, and while they can't hear it, there's a sort of like vibration, and working with this guy Joe, that to me was like I said, the most interesting part of the story. I get why they wanted that with the, okay, spoilers for the finale. He finds out where his girlfriend's living. He sells his stuff, including his RV. He gets the implants. When he gets the implants, lo and behold, they're not great. They're very distorted. Which, that is a good scene. It's a scene of sort of this hope that he built up in his mind and the reality of the situation where he can hear, but still this distorted, that it's not as fruitful, it's not as, he's not as exhilarated as he thought he would be. I'm thinking, what the fuck, $40,000 for this? That didn't seem worth it. Didn't seem worth it. I mean, I don't know if that's what the movie's implying. That it's not worth it to get implants because look how shitty it is. But I mean, that's for the just director writer to decide. But he finds where his girlfriend's at. He goes there. It's spoilers. She's with her rich father. The father's like, listen, I used to not like you, but I now understand you made her happy. She's living with her dad. She didn't cut herself, or scratch herself, I should say. When she sees him again, she's kind of happy, but she's scratching herself, hurting herself. And he pretty much realizes he can't stay. He's got to move on. And then I did super spoilers. The last scene is he's walking around. The implants are distorting the sound, but he takes it off, and he's able to deal with the silence. I guess for me, I would have preferred him going back. Like, he was kind of kicked out of the shelter because of his behavior of selling all this stuff and getting these implants. And oh, I guess I would have preferred him still at the shelter, or I don't know, just him going overseas to see the girlfriend. Just something about that didn't really do much for me storyline wise. Maybe something about it felt a bit empty to me. I don't quite know how to put it. Where I did, just because the stuff in the shelter was just the more fascinating bits of the story to me. At the final, there was something about the shelter, like he with the distorted sounds, maybe he starts playing again and he can't play, and he's just trying to have this life, and he decides to take these off and go back to the shelter and decide to be a teacher there. To me, that would have been a bit more of a satisfying ending for me. It's just that when the shelter story was done, and now we're into this story of him trying to just go from back, and that it doesn't work out. It just, for me, the story, I don't want to say it fell flat. It just, I get why they did, but at the same time, it's just not would have been my preferred. I guess if you want to deal with the end of the story, it could be still dealt with the shelter plot line as well, infused into it. But I do think the lead guy did a fairly capable job. You felt his pain. Like I said, I think for any musician, this would be a horror film. You really did feel in the empathetic to be in the shoes of someone who's losing their hearing. The sound design, like even there's a dinner scene where you get his point of view of how silent it is, and then the outside point of view, just how noisy this dinner scene is, even between people who are not talking. And they're pounding the table, and dishes are clanking, and gobble gobble. It's fairly noisy to our eyes, but to his point of view, it just as silent as can be. I liked a lot of the comparisons between the two that the director showcased. I think that definitely brings even more of the idea of, okay, yeah, something that we take for granted, which is our hearing. Tell one thing, it makes me want to be more careful about my hearing. But other than the third act being like, I overall liked that. That was a pretty good film. Pretty good dramatic film. And again, a film that went under the radar for me. I had never heard of it before, so. And this came out 2019-2020. So lo and behold, a new film I like, which people, well, some people will ignore. If I rant on something new and people go, I hate everything, and I'm like, well, I like this. That doesn't exist. Well, that's funny. I'm doing a review of it right now. No, 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 no. I'm going to ignore it. So, yeah, another new film that I like. But again, people either won't watch the review or they'll ignore it because I didn't like the newest Marvel film, thus I hate everything. No, maybe because I would prefer watching a film like this than just the constant fucking gluttony of Marvel movies. Maybe that's why. Hey. Oh well. Maybe instead of just a Scream 5 or a Chainsaw Massacre 2022 or the next Marvel superhero, a film like this has a bit more merit to me. Just me, I guess. But with that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.